is in an undisclosed location. And sorry, I forgot to turn my cell phone volume off. I can't say, sorry, I can't say where he is because I don't know. And I'm sorry that I don't know, but I don't pry. I don't ask a lot of questions. I haven't spoken with him much since last week. And I have had a couple conversations with him this week that have lasted just a few seconds, which is rather typical. I do know that whether he is at home, trying to stay still, trying to follow doctor's orders, trying to work hard to accomplish much with important phone calls that he receives and makes, whether he's in the hospital, taking care of whatever needs to be dealt with to keep him going, or whatever else is going on. I know that, he has mentioned how strange it is that God has kept him alive this long for such a time as this with what's going on. And yet the one thing that he needs more than anything else is his voice. And he has acknowledged how Satan has just attacked the one most important body part that he needs to use to help save our country. He is in need of help every day. He's got some bills to pay, whether it's electric or mortgage or phone bill or medical treatment or whatever else it is that he needs to do to take care of himself and his family. The only way he can do what he needs to do as a man, as a provider that God tells men that's supposed to do, his only way to do that is the donations that he gets, and the only place he has to ask is here. And so anything you can do to help, I know how greatly appreciated it is. And I want to say thank you so much. There was somebody who at midnight last night sent something so he could get what he needed for whatever work he is doing. I don't know who you are, but I do want you to know how greatly Larry said he appreciated the fact that God had used somebody to come through at the last minute before it was too late for him. I do know that he can go down pretty fast when he doesn't have the money to take care of what needs to be done. So every day has an urgent need. And I know you get tired of hearing it. Believe me, Larry and I get tired of having to ask again. We have worked very hard to try and drum up some other long-term big support, and what we thought was coming apparently is not. We're just not sure. Anyhow, so we have to come to you and ask again. So Larry's PayPal account, once again, is Nichols, no first name, Nichols Live, L-I-V as in Victor, E, Nichols Live at AOL.com, just like the website is nicholslive.com. There is a link to the PayPal on the website. There is also under the merchandise link, that's where you can buy Larry's autobiography, 28 Years to Nowhere. That's where you can buy the t-shirts that say Never Socialism. There is a necklace, I believe, on the website available. I do know there's a necklace available that says No Socialist. There is the bumper sticker that says Never Socialism. That's only $5. We are working on getting some business cards printed, and we really need everybody doing their best to help buy the merchandise, because it will help. It is an investment to help you start a discussion with people about saving our country, because a vote for any Democrat in 2020 is a vote for socialism, and not voting means you have thrown your vote at socialism. So one of the things that I thought I would do today is, Larry says he's not a prophet, but there are things happening today that we are aware of and we're observing. And when Larry wrote his autobiography, when he dictated it to me and I typed it up for him, the book came out just over 2 years ago. And tomorrow night we're going to be discussing chapter 10. The title of the chapter is My Final Word, The Future is War. So I'm going to read a good part of this chapter. Larry wants to give you the future. I want to give you the future as I see it coming. I don't mean to sound negative, but I need to be truthful. Just because the future could be devastating, it doesn't have to be if we will all stand up, take our place, and fight for our nation. Larry is constantly saying we need to step up. What I intend to do is list several categories that will be pivotal to the future of our nation. Let me start by saying wars are fought on many levels. You have shoot-'em-up wars, economic wars, and social wars. War can happen in many ways. We're talking about the future of our country, so stand up, be counted, and do your part to help prevent the war that I foresee. This is your mission. So first I want to deal with Islam. I want to make it very clear that if Muslims follow the teachings of the Quran, you need to be aware that the Quran teaches them exactly what to do. Every American and every follower of Jesus Christ is considered an infidel and must be destroyed. You hear about the war going on in the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, and other places, but I believe the war is soon to move here to America. You see, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all the other franchise groups cannot be sustained in the Middle East by holding on to the territory they take. Oh, they take it, and they set up caliphates, but they can't hold it. When they start to lose territory, it hurts their cause. You see, the war between Islam and Christianity breaks down simply to, is their God bigger than our God? Is Allah greater than Jesus Christ? As they lose territory, people lose faith in ISIS. And so ISIS has to move in a direction that they can sustain. One of the places, of course, is Europe. We have seen a movement there with terrorist activity. The other soon will be America, and soon actually is now. It all hinges on immigration. They know our weakness. They know we've given up our sovereignty. They know the cultural elite in this country have opened the pathway for them to come, kill, and destroy, and they will do it in their time when they're ready. Donald Trump is doing everything he can to slow down this horde being brought into our country without any type of vetting process. But as most of you should know, he's facing not only the cultural elite, not only the Democratic Party in the House and the Senate, but he's also fighting the black-robed mob, that is his name for the courts. They're making it virtually impossible for him to exercise his constitutional right and duty to protect this nation. I know people are going to insist Islam is a peaceful religion, and you're wrong to think otherwise. Well, folks, consider this. When you've heard people talking about Islam's peaceful religion, have you ever heard anyone prove their point by asking you to read the Quran for yourself? They never tell you to read it. The reason is because the Quran is not about peace and love. The Quran is about killing and destroying the infidel. The Muslims have no problem with killing their own either. In their world, that's turning someone into a martyr, giving them a higher place. They will certainly move their war here, and it's up to each and every one of you to stand up. Stand in support of President Trump and others that believe we must go back to a rigorous vetting system and stop the massive flow of unvetted Muslims from the Middle East to this country. That's trouble on the way. And the only difference between today and when it happens is just a matter of time. This time, they may not go for the big home run like the World Trade Center catastrophe. This time, they will most likely choose soft targets. And we've heard Larry talk about the soft targets, like shopping centers, malls, restaurants, schools, ball games. We must prevent it. As he said in his video 3 years ago, Revolution 2.0, one of the first things that should be done is to get back to states' rights. Now you can hear the audio, a condensed version of his video, Revolution 2.0. If you look up States' Rights Patriots, I think is the name of the YouTube channel, and Revolution 2.0, you should be able to hear what was said in that video. The video, as far as I know, is no longer available. States need to empower themselves to protect people within their states from terrorism. You see, presently, if someone is suspected of terrorism, the local sheriff and state police must go to the federal government, and the FBI has to come and investigate. That is too cumbersome. Besides, we don't have enough FBI agents nationwide to secure the soft targets throughout the nation. If a state passes laws to set up state, county, and local terrorism task forces, then the local police, who see the people on the streets every day, can conduct investigations of their own. And a terrorist task force can be run like a narcotics task force. Create laws so that states can prosecute. Make it a state crime in addition to a federal crime. Then, for the first time, we will have hundreds of thousands of law enforcement officers watching out for terrorism at the ground level. So here is a place in Chapter 10 of 28 Years to Nowhere where Larry gives us a task to do. We can lobby at the local, county, and state level. Go to your local representatives. Go to your state representatives. Ask them to set up a terrorism task force, just like the narcotics task force. That is something we can do. We can start lobbying for that. I know we're getting to the end of the session for this year, but when the session, when the government's back in session in the fall, you can have talked all summer to people about this is something we need to do, and this is why. Because if a terrorist is found, they have to call in the FBI at the federal level. And we need the investigations to be done at the local level because it'll be handled quicker because there are more people available with local police. He expresses concern that Muslims are building whole communities with the intention of setting up an Islamic caliphate. Right here, if you don't believe me, look at Dearborn, Michigan, and look at what happened in Minnesota with the Somalis voting in Omar as their representatives. When that happens, what do? You see, when that happens, it's too late. War is coming when Islam is the enemy of Christ. The second thing coming can be called the cultural elites of this nation. These are the people who believe that they're so educated and knowledgeable that they're the only ones wise enough to lead our country. Let's start with Hollywood. For some reason, actors in Hollywood believe they're intellectually superior to the rest of us, but they're actors. That's all they are. We think of bullies as being big guys, muscle-bound, bullying the little puny guy. Well, bullies come in other sizes. Don't doubt for a second that the cultural elite are anything less than bullies. And they support socialism as a form of government for the nation. And when you hear the Democrats talk about progressives, now listen to this. This is semantics. When you hear the Democrats talk about progressives, they are actually talking about communism. This is a euphemism. Pay attention now because AOC has been talking about socialism. She's been talking about the Green New Deal. Everything's gone very quiet about that. The Democrats have been told to stop talking about socialism. And if you heard Pelosi recently sometime in the last week, oh no, I'm not a socialist, I'm a progressive. So watch for that euphemism because progressive was the term that was used to hide the fact that they are promoting socialism, that they're liberals promoting socialism and communism, and there's no difference between those three terms. During the primary of 2016, over half the voters of this nation voted for either Bernie Sanders, an avowed socialist, or Hillary Clinton, a progressive, which is nothing more than communist. Over half the nation. How can people want communism? What's happened is our millennials were born after 9/11. They have been socially engineered in school to think socialism is a good thing, thinking about utopia, thinking about equality for all. What they don't realize is equality is a ruling elite that has access to anything and everything they want, and everybody else goes down to the lowest common denominator. Forgive me, folks, as I'm bouncing back from reading the book to personal commentary. What happened to America? What happened to people believing in the American way? Truth, justice, mom and apple pie. What happened to that? Where'd it go? Not so much now. So much of American life is an abomination, an affront to God. We've got abortion, sexual deviance, witchcraft, and so on. The cultural elite are leading a movement that will destroy this country. When Donald Trump and others go out to speak, here come these anarchists, most of them paid to shout down the speakers. Something, you better be certain, is going to snap. Teachers are even training our children to rebel against the American government. I hope many of you have seen the article or video that is on Facebook circulating around of the school in Philadelphia where the children are chanting that we will cut off their heads. This is here in Philadelphia, where our country began. I don't know what these protesters want. News organizations have seen these protesters in the street or at the events and asked them, what are you protesting about? What do you want? They don't even know. They just think it's cool to be there and protest. Are they deluded into thinking this is the way to make America great, or do they want to destroy the country? And if so, why? Something has to give. And now you see people can go to the computer and learn whatever it is they want. But the problem with the computer is that people go to find somebody who supports what they think themselves, and it reinforces their opinions. They're not just looking for truth, they're looking for affirmation of their own opinion. When I was fighting Bill Clinton, meaning Larry, was fighting Bill Clinton 20 years ago, I was told the media would not cover my stories unless I had 3 independent verifying sources. That was the standard of the trade. Today, they don't need any verification. They just need someone to be creative enough to come up with something to say that could damage someone. The news media, as Donald Trump so adequately calls the fake news, are nothing more than propaganda. Don't believe them. When you see a story in the mainstream media, I suggest your first response should be, it's a lie. Remember, the Democrats use projection. They accuse others of what they themselves do. The reason they can go into such detail in their accusations is because that is what they are doing and what they have done. Therefore, they know in minute detail what they claim is going on. Let's consider social engineering. That is happening to our children. You must stop it. So here again, he gives another suggestion of ways we can get involved to save our country. First of all, get involved. If you can, homeschool. Miraculously, people without teaching degrees can homeschool their own children, yet historically and continuously, their children score way better than kids in public school. It makes no sense to pay teachers a lot of money in comparison to other countries when with no formal education in teaching, parents can teach their kids and their kids score higher than public school children. Besides, studies show that children learn better social skills from adults than they do from their peers. You don't harm your child with homeschooling. I know many people can't do that. The next best thing is to get involved with your children. Get involved with their schoolwork. Get involved with your local government. Stand up. Set an example for your children by being active. Quit sitting back and thinking someone else will do it. That's what got us where we are today. We abstained. We thought we elected somebody who would do the work so we don't have to. We think we can go on about our lives because they'll take care of the business for us. We were had. Engage in your local government. Reach out, touch your school board, touch your local legislator. You can engage your friends, engage the enemy. Please listen to this warning. We must put those who consider themselves the cultural elite into submission now, or they will force us into submission. Don't be deceived. The media makes it look like there are more of them than us. The media and the pundits talking on TV make you think they're smarter and have more wisdom. They interview the pundits who sound like wise people, but they're not. Most of the time, somebody parading as a pundit on television, if you hang on long enough, will reveal no accreditation for being a pundit. They merely work for some candidate's public relations. Most of it is lies. He talks a little bit about the internet, but it's basically a repetition of what I mentioned. Immigration will determine whether we remain the United States of America or become the United States of Central America. Without control of immigration, our system is busted. He's not going to talk about the welfare they receive, but think about what they do with our infrastructure. They use our roads, they use our emergency rooms because hospitals are required to treat them. Illegal immigrants can even gain access to our school systems. They tax our legal system, costing our country another fortune with police, jail, and courts. Every way you turn, illegal immigration is a disaster to this nation. The problem, as you all should know by now, is that the Democrats see illegal immigrants as potential voters that historically vote in blocks and vote for Democratic candidates. The Republican establishment see illegal immigrants as cheap labor for big industries that pay their campaign fees. Who is fighting for us then, the average American? Who's standing up for us? President Donald Trump, living up to his word, is one of the few people in modern political history who has actually tried and is trying to keep his campaign promises despite tremendous backlash. Remember, when you're up at night saying your prayers for this nation, don't forget we're a nation of laws. We're a nation that needs and depends on protected borders. Without them, we're not a nation at all. Be careful. Don't run from this issue. Don't let people argue that there's something wrong with you or you're not humane because you care about secure borders. No, be truthful and keep your eye on immigration. So that's all I'm going to read. It's about half the chapter. That's chapter 10 of 28 Years to Nowhere. You can buy 28 Years to Nowhere at nicholslive.com. I'm checking for... No, Sean Larry is again in an undisclosed location. I do not know where he is. I don't know if he, is working at home. I know he's very busy. He is pushing and pushing and pushing himself in ways that only he can do with information that he has that other people don't have to try to help save our country from the elite cabal, deep state, progressives, whatever you want to call them. Like I said, Nancy Pelosi admitted a progressive. Hillary called herself a progressive. That is just a euphemism for socialist and communist. So be careful when you start to hear these terms. And we need everybody talking about never socialism. Even if they tried to change the terms, be aware that they are changing the terms and help point it out to other people you talk to. So once again, I'm going to suggest that Larry wants us getting involved with government. We need to talk about a terrorism task force so that local police can do investigations rather than having to call in the FBI. Be aware of soft targets. Always be aware around you. When I visited Larry 2 years ago to get his autograph on some of the books that we gave our team back 2 years ago, the first thing Larry said when I got out of the car at his house was, don't you ever go back and touch your car until you have looked underneath to make sure there's no bomb under your car. And I giggled and I said, you're kidding, right? And he says, no. Very, very serious look on his face. No, I am dead serious. No pun intended. Dead serious. He taught me something about being aware of my surroundings, looking around. Make sure if you're in a parking lot, that you're watching, you're observing other cars. You're paying attention to, don't park, for example, if you're a woman especially, don't park next to a van. This is something that you probably know already, but we need to make sure that our teenage daughters, that your wives know to be careful. Don't be looking at your cell phone instead of paying attention to your surroundings. When you're walking somewhere, even at a shopping center, be moving your head around so you look alert. Somebody who's going to do trouble, who's going to come after you, is looking for somebody who will be an easy target. If you are very aware, you are looking around, you are paying attention, they know you will see them coming, and you will be able to take measures to dart inside a door, ask for help. You're not going to make yourself a target if you're being very careful and very aware. So just a couple tidbits. Concealed carry nowadays is probably a really good idea if that's legal where you live. But like Larry has said with guns, you need to know how far your bullet can travel. Because if you miss your target, where is that bullet going to go? Where will it land? You do not want to be responsible for shooting somebody that you didn't intend, that you weren't protecting yourself from. And that's true in your neighborhood. That's true when you are shooting at home. Bullets can go through walls. The last thing you want to do is be hurting a neighbor when you're trying to protect yourself or your family. So be very careful with guns and make sure you are, first of all, trained. Second of all, continue to practice and can get more and more training. So speaking of self-defense, Larry designed a bow that is super easy to shoot. It is possible to get arrowhead. Basically, it's an arrowhead shape. It's basically a double-sided razor that fits on the end of your bow, that if you need to use it, it will be very, very effective. The advantage of using a bow and arrow is somebody who has an arrow sticking out of them is going to be in shock and less likely to hit you if they have a gun. The shock factor will give you a chance and time to do something to protect yourself further. One of the things that he taught me is, I heard him teaching the group at one point, practice at the distance that you plan to shoot. You don't have to be an expert archer. You just need to be able to hit your target from 10, 15, 12 feet away. So count off where you most expect that you would use it and figure out what distance, and then practice with the target shooting at that distance. Larry taught me over the phone, and there is a shop in Conway, Arkansas, where Larry lives, that offers them for sale. You can get extra arrows from her, and her name is Karen. And if anybody is interested, if you will give me a minute, I will look up her phone number. Just give me a sec. Her name is Karen. Her number is 501-472-1097. It's called 12 Ring Archery. Her website is shooting.org. She sells guns as well, as far as I know, not just bows and arrows, but guns as well. If you didn't get a chance to write down the number, you're welcome to text me and I'll put you in touch with her. If you want to donate to Larry but can't use or don't use PayPal, text me and I'll call you back and we'll discuss alternative methods to donate that can work for you. So the text is 240-499-6729. I don't have that listed underneath the recording today, but I will put it on as soon as I hang up. That's all I have for now today. Please keep Larry in prayer for his safety, for stamina, for whatever it is that he is doing or working on. I know he spends a lot of time deep in thought with the way he's able to strategize. It's been fascinating to watch him in action. There was a time when he was participating by phone in a terrorist act, and it was during a conference call that he was on with us, and he meant to put us on mute and didn't do it right, and so we got to listen to him in process. This is a very, very gifted man, just an ordinary guy who cares very deeply about our country, but has incredible experience through these last 40 years and is able to do a lot and teach us. It really is important that we keep him in the fight. So anything you can do to help through his PayPal account, Nichols Live, NICHOLSLI, V as in Victor, E at AOL.com. That is also underneath the video here, so you can hit the little arrow and see what the PayPal account is. Thank you. God bless you. And hopefully Larry will be able to be back with us very soon. A lot depends on whether he gets the income to keep things going that need to be taken care of. So thanks a lot. God bless. Bye.